Claudio Lugli is a gentleman that exists. He's in his late 70s. He's in Brescia in Italy. My dad actually, he's a student of the game, my dad. 40 years in the industry. He's constantly still fascinated about fabric, about detail, color combinations, patterns, and prints. So he's constantly on this search to find the best template or the best fabrics. And on his journey, he went to Italy, as you should when you're learning to be a tailor or designer, came across this really innovative designer called Claudio. And he was known for doing multiple collars, single collar, double collar, triple collar. And that was really innovative back then. That was really cutting edge. And he really...
And how long ago was this?
This is spanning back over 25 years.
Right, okay.
So my dad has had lots of different aliases over time. You know, Claudio Lugli, Stamp London, Today's Men's Collection, Go To. Claudio Lugli is the embodiment of basically injecting life and color and creativity into the garments. And it's all about being unapologetically daring with the designs. And I think my dad, when he met Claudio, took that idea of dare to be different with the collars and kind of took it completely somewhere else. It was cooking up whilst he had his shops, but it wasn't at the forefront at all. I sat down with him and said, this is such an incredible collection that people need to see this in the windows of the world, which is the internet, not just on the high streets of Wood Green.
I love that phrase, by the way.
Or Kensington.
I love that phrase you said, the windows of the world with the internet. Again, when I was reading a lot of, doing my research anyway, that was one of that alongside I think you said once, you know, hate it or love it, but you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
And those two things really resonate with what you're talking about. Talking about your father, just to finish that part, I feel when you got involved in the business, you felt, look, because he's like you said, he's old school, he's a tailor, and that's really what you want him to worry about. So how was that dynamic coming to him and saying that, first of all, and has it been quite easy, and then it's just developed, and because obviously you've really taken your responsibility very well, has it been quite a surprising, like easy route on that front? And what I mean by that is the family business as a whole.
Sure. So imagine being in my dad's position, playing in his best position is actually just designing, going out, touching the fabric, trying to combine different color combinations, working on the details. That's where his passion lies. But yet he has to be the accountant, micromanaging the shops, doing the trade stands. It's taken on too much. I feel like the way that myself and my brother and the team here have stepped in have allowed him to go and do what he does best, and that's design. Imagine he's giving me the ammunition and I'm shooting the gun, essentially. I'm the record label, he's the singer. He's the talent, I'm just making people aware of it and doing justice to what he set out to do. So without him, there's no me. Without me, there's no Claudio in this particular instance. I don't know if it would have had the mileage, because I don't know if we would have had the engagement. I think opening it up digitally and saying, let's step off the high street for a bit, that wasn't an easy conversation. The shop was older than me at the time.
Right, okay.
So, as you can imagine, like he's a risk taker, my dad, and you have to be when you work in business. You've got to take educated risks, and that's when I talk about those investments in marketing. You have to really invest and speculate to accumulate, because otherwise, you could be stagnant, or you get snobby and think, well, it should sell anyway. People should come to my site. No, you've got to go out and get it.
On the point of the high street, just touching back on that, what do you think about the high street in general, in the sense of you made the move, I'd say, quite early, at a really good time, and realised that there wasn't great sort of scope in it. Do you see much of a future? I know that it's quite a hot topic at the moment about what can we do with high streets and so on and so forth. Do you ever see yourself going back into the high street, number one, as far as being, I know you obviously, like we said, you're stocked in stores, but do you actually see yourself doing your own shops like you did, like your father did for 25 years? And then just maybe your general overview of the high street as a whole.
It is the ultimate love-hate relationship, like for my personal situation and our business and our brand. We had to come off the high street in order to go back on it, and the way we did that was through supplying those shops. We had 300 plus shops stocked in the UK pre and post-pandemic. We're so lucky that there has been a little bit of a resurgence, but my only worry is that it's the small independent retailers. Those are the people that are the lifeline of our business. They're the ones that do the actual guerrilla marketing. They might find Claudio first in a shop in Reading and then come onto our website and then become a loyal customer. We need the high street to be filled with small independent retailers, as well as the big brands and big chains. But throughout this pandemic, we're hearing the likes of Nike, the likes of Zara, all closing their flagship stores in the thousands. So,
which then worries you for the smaller stores. You think there's
or
very little
potentially,
chance?
if you think about it, there might be a full circle where suddenly the big brands have left the high streets and the small independents are coming back. There could be that resurgence, but I don't know.
So you're, I guess, cautiously optimistic, but you're not too excited because who knows? It's very up in the air.
The future is completely uncertain,
Especially right now.
especially with the pandemic. However, I feel like there is a lot of hope, because if you incentivize, through government schemes or landlords are actually helping those small independents to come onto the high street and take a risk and set up their businesses, then they can thrive like we did. But because the rent is too damn high, man. But that's why our overheads were crazy in the last 6 to 7 years before we made the change, because it was hard to have the good turnover and just rely solely on one store. That's why you have shops like the Nike chains or Zara chains that are potentially lost leaders, but they just have to be in that particular area.